Welcome to Mythos AI, your source for Cliff's Notes on complex subjects. Join Anna and Phil for yet another engaging conversation.
Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're going to be doing a deep dive on this really interesting article I found called Interpretive Communities in the Digital Age, applying Stanley Fish's theories to algorithm-driven discourse on X.
Catchy title.
It is a catchy title. And it explores how people are interpreting information online,
Right.
especially on platforms like X, formerly Twitter.
Of course.
So it uses Stanley Fish's theory of interpretive communities as a framework.
Right.
And Fish basically argues that meaning isn't inherent
Interesting.
in a text itself.
Okay.
It's actually created by the readers based on shared assumptions and interpretations.
Right. So, think of it like this. Different communities might view the same text, say a tweet or a meme, in completely different ways, depending on their shared backgrounds and experiences.
So it's not just about what the author intended, but about how these different groups understand the same piece of information.
Precisely. Meaning is produced by the reader,
Interesting.
not passively found in the text.
I see.
Consider how a group of devoutly religious individuals might interpret a religious text compared to a group of literary critics.
Okay.
Their interpretations will likely be vastly different.
That's a good point. It really makes you realize that your own background and the communities you belong to shape how you understand things.
Now, the article takes this idea and applies it to the digital world, where things become even more complex.
Great.
The article expands the concept of text to include things like tweets, memes, and hashtags on platforms like X.
Right.
These two act as texts that are interpreted by communities.
It's interesting to think about how these online communities form and dissolve so quickly often around trending topics. One day you're engrossed in a discussion about a viral video, and the next day everyone's moved on to something else.
It's a constantly shifting landscape. And it's very likely that you, the listener, are part of many such communities online without even realizing it.
That's true.
Think about the hashtags you use or the accounts you follow. These all reflect communities you're engaging with.
And then there's the influence of algorithms.
Yes.
These algorithms track what we engage with online and feed us more of the same type of content.
Think of algorithms like invisible editors curating our online experience.
Interesting.
For instance, someone interested in feminism might see more posts from feminist activists and scholars, while someone interested in finance might see content related to the stock market.
So essentially, the algorithm shapes the communities we become a part of.
Yes.
By controlling what we see.
And this brings us to a few real-world examples discussed in the article. A key case study is the #MeToo movement.
Right.
This hashtag started as a powerful tool for survivors of sexual assault and harassment to share their experiences and advocate for change.
It was a global phenomenon.
Yes.
But as the hashtag spread, it started to be interpreted differently by various groups.
Precisely. Some continued to focus on the core message of addressing systemic injustice and advocating for structural reform. Others, however, began to view it with skepticism. Some expressed concerns about due process, while others saw it as an overreaction.
Right. And then there were corporations and influencers who adopted the hashtag.
Right.
Sometimes appearing more interested in aligning with a trend than engaging with the movement's core message.
This highlights a crucial point made by Fish. There's no single correct interpretation. Each community, activists, corporations, skeptical commentators, brings their own values and perspectives to the table, shaping how they understand something like #MeToo.
The article also examines how even something as simple as a viral meme can be interpreted in vastly different ways.
Take the distracted boyfriend meme, for instance. It's an image of a man looking at another woman while his girlfriend looks on disapprovingly.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Some see it as harmless humor, a relatable scenario played out for laughs. Others interpret it through a feminist lens, critiquing the male gaze and societal expectations placed on women.
And of course, brands have used the meme to comment on consumer choices or promote products.
Exactly.
It's remarkable how one image can hold such different meanings, depending on the community interpreting it.
This brings us back to the influence of algorithms in shaping these online communities.
Right.
While traditional interpretive communities might form around institutions like schools or religious groups, digital communities are often shaped by what algorithms choose to show us.
It's almost as if the platform is subtly nudging us toward certain interpretations by filtering the content we see.
The article argues that algorithms, by prioritizing engagement, often contribute to the formation of echo chambers. People are primarily exposed to information that reinforces their existing beliefs.
This is particularly evident in movements like #BlackLivesMatter.
Right.
The article points out that supporters and opponents of the movement often have drastically different interpretations of the hashtag itself.
Supporters view it as a call for racial justice informed by historical contexts of oppression and systemic inequalities. Their interpretation is shaped by data on police brutality, personal experiences of discrimination, and a desire for societal change.
And opponents, on the other hand, might interpret the same hashtag as divisive. They might focus on instances of violence during protests, or view the movement as an attack on law enforcement. Their interpretation could be influenced by different historical narratives or a belief that racism is no longer a significant issue.
And this is where the algorithmic influence becomes critical. Someone who frequently engages with content supporting #BlackLivesMatter will likely see more of that content reinforcing their interpretation. Conversely, someone who regularly interacts with content critical of the movement will be fed more of those viewpoints.
This leads to polarized online spaces where productive dialogue is incredibly difficult. Each community is essentially trapped in its own echo chamber, talking past each other, rather than engaging in meaningful conversation.
That's why it's crucial to be aware of these algorithms and to actively seek out diverse perspectives. It's too easy to get caught in a filter bubble where your understanding of the world is limited by what the platform chooses to show you.
Bringing it back to Fish's theory. How does the digital age change our understanding of interpretive communities? The article suggests it adds layers of complexity that Fish himself couldn't have foreseen.
In the past, communities might have formed more organically around shared interests or institutional affiliations. Now, algorithms play a significant role in shaping those connections, often without our awareness.
Interesting.
The speed at which these communities form and dissolve is also remarkable.
A hashtag can go viral overnight, drawing in a diverse group of people who interpret it in myriad ways. Just as quickly, the conversation can move on and the community dissipates as the next trending topic takes hold.
The article also highlights how interpretive strategies themselves evolve online. We've all had to adapt to the nuances of digital communication.
Think about how we use S to denote sarcasm, or how we're mindful of how tone can be easily misinterpreted in text-based interactions. We're constantly developing new ways to ensure our intended meaning is understood. Online communities are dynamic and adaptable, constantly refining their interpretive strategies in response to misunderstandings, evolving social norms, and even platform changes. It's a stark contrast from the more stable interpretive communities Fish initially studied.
And who holds the authority in these digital communities? In traditional settings, it might be professors, critics, or religious leaders. Online, the landscape is much more diffuse.
Precisely.
Verified accounts, influencers, and even charismatic or well-spoken users can significantly influence how information is interpreted. And of course, platform policies themselves play a role. What gets amplified, what gets censored, all of that shapes the boundaries of acceptable interpretation within a given online space.
So what are the broader societal implications of all this? If we accept that online spaces are essentially collections of interpretive communities, each with its own way of making meaning, what does that mean for how we function as a society?
One major concern is the potential for increased polarization. As we discussed, algorithms can create echo chambers where individuals are primarily exposed to information that confirms their existing beliefs. This makes it difficult to engage in productive dialogue across different communities, leading to entrenched viewpoints and limited opportunities for nuance or understanding.
It's a recipe for division and gridlock. And because these online spaces increasingly influence real-world politics and social movements, the stakes are incredibly high.
Fish's theory helps explain why bridging these divides is so challenging. If each community starts with different assumptions about meaning and relevance, finding common ground becomes a monumental task.
Those differing assumptions are often rooted in deeply held values, cultural backgrounds, and personal experiences.
Exactly.
It's not just about presenting facts or logical arguments.
Yeah.
You're asking people to reconsider their entire worldview.
But it's not all doom and gloom.
Okay.
The article also acknowledges the democratizing potential of online interpretive communities.
So,
Social media allows marginalized groups to form their own communities, challenge dominant narratives, and have their voices heard in ways that were previously unimaginable.
that's true.
Movements like #MeToo and #BlackLivesMatter wouldn't have gained the same traction without the ability to connect with like-minded individuals online, share stories, and mobilize for change.
Right.
It demonstrates how online communities can shift the balance of power, bringing attention to issues that might have been ignored by traditional gatekeepers of information.
So we're living in a complex and fascinating era of meaning-making.
Yeah.
Algorithms shape our online experiences.
Yeah.
Interpretive communities form and dissolve at lightning speed. And the very notion of authority is being redefined.
Understanding these dynamics is essential for navigating digital spaces critically and constructively.
Yeah.
It's a call to be more mindful of our own biases, to seek out diverse perspectives, and to engage in thoughtful dialogue across communities.
It leaves us with a lot to think about.
Yes, it does.
Knowing how interpretive communities operate online,
Mm-hmm.
how can we encourage more understanding and less polarization in these spaces?
That is the question.
It's a question worth pondering as we continue to navigate the ever-evolving digital landscape.
Yeah, it really is a lot to think about.
Yeah.
If each online community has its own way of understanding things.
Driven by algorithms and their own unique perspectives, where does that leave us in terms of shared understanding?
That's the crux of the issue.
Right.
The article suggests that this dynamic can lead to fragmentation.
Okay.
Instead of a public square where diverse viewpoints are debated and common ground is sought, we end up with a series of echo chambers,
Right.
each reinforcing its own version of reality.
This raises concerns about how we address complex societal challenges.
Yeah.
If we can't even agree on a shared set of facts or interpretations, how can we possibly work together to find solutions?
It's a significant obstacle.
Yeah.
The article highlights how this plays out in real-world scenarios.
Okay.
Take, for instance, discussions around climate change.
Okay.
You have communities that accept the scientific consensus and advocate for urgent action.
Right.
Then you have other communities that downplay the issue, driven by different interpretations of the data or skepticism towards scientific authority.
It's not just about presenting the facts. These communities are operating within entirely different frameworks of understanding.
Exactly.
Wow.
And this difference in interpretation extends to the solutions proposed. One community might advocate for government regulation and investment in renewable energy, while another might favor market-based solutions or technological innovation.
I see.
The challenge lies in finding ways to bridge these interpretive divides and fostering a more productive dialogue.
Yeah, it's tricky.
It is.
The article doesn't offer easy answers, but it does suggest that awareness is a crucial first step.
Right.
Recognizing that we're all part of these interpretive communities shaped by algorithms and our own biases can help us approach online discussions with more humility and open-mindedness.
It's also crucial to be conscious of the information we're consuming.
Right.
And to actively seek out diverse perspectives. Don't let algorithms dictate your understanding of the world.
It's good advice.
Challenge your own assumptions by engaging with viewpoints that differ from your own. Ultimately, it's about recognizing that meaning-making in the digital age is a dynamic and multifaceted process.
Okay.
There's no single definitive interpretation.
Right.
It's an ongoing negotiation shaped by communities, algorithms, and the constant evolution of online discourse.
This has been a really fascinating discussion. I think this deep dive has offered valuable insights into the complexities of online interpretation.
Absolutely.
Leaving us with a better understanding of how meaning is constructed and contested in the digital age.
Well said.
Thanks for joining me for this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for listening to Mythos AI. Stay tuned for more concise insights. And remember to hit the like button and subscribe for future episodes.